Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online build video with me, Sherman. Today we are taking a look at the Cleric Healer build. Now this is a build that is made for dungeons. You can use it in PvP with some alterations to it, but I prefer it in dungeons. It works a lot better. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now the race, you can use just about any race for this. There are going to be some that are going to stand out, like the Dark Elf, the High Elf, the Breton. They're going to really stand out for this. Breton is going to be a little bit better. It's going to give you way too much resistances, but it will work. And the thing about this build is a heavy armor healer. So we are using a Khajiit because Khajiits have the lowest in stamina pools or stat pools, and it kind of plays well with them. So looking at the build itself, you can see we have a 28k magicka on the back bar, and on the front bar we have a 29. I don't know why it does that, but we do. And as you can see, we have 44 into magicka, 20 into stamina. This is to give us a higher stamina pool because we are using a stamina heal as well on this build. This is a hybrid type healer, so you want to have that good mix there. On top of that, the magic recovery is 1655. It does go up to roughly about 2k when you're fully buffed up. So, another trade-off. As you can see, our weapon and spell damage are equal, and our crit on our spell crit is 40%. It doesn't get much higher. If you use a pot, it can get a little higher, but it's not going to get much higher than that. And your weapon critical is 39 because we are a Khajiit. 21k spell resist with a 19k physical resist. Remember, this is a healer, but it has the ability to be tanky as well. So we are running the Atronach Mundus Stone for extra magic recovery, and we are using the Thief Mundus Stone as well because we are running Twiceborn Star with this for the extra weapon and spell critical. We are using magicka stamina food, so we are using hybrid food for this. This is a hybrid build, so we want that extra stamina magicka. And then going into the gear, and just to show you the food, it is the grapes and ashiam falafel. This is really good for this build. We have a 20k health with it, so we're not hurting for health with this. We are running all tri-stats on the gear though, and the sets we're running we are running Sentinels for the heal, extra healing, and the heal that it offers with the 10% chance and the stamina return. This is really good for stamina DPS and tanks because it allows you to be right there with them while they're tanking and they're doing DPS to kind of heal and offer support. So divines on all the gear. We are running 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light on this. So the heavy set, or this other set we're running, is Pelinals. Now there is another set you can trade out for Pelinals if you want. It is the set that is crafted in the Fighters Guild. I don't remember the name right off the bat, but it gives you like 25% on rezzing people. It's a really good one. The reason I like Pelinals though is because it gives you health and it offers you stam and magic recovery, plus it makes your spell and weapon damage equal to each other. So it helps with your stamina heal you're going to be using. Next up, we're using Twiceborn Star. Like I said, this gives max health, stamina, and magicka, and you can use 2 Mundus Stones. So this really applies well with this build. And we are a Templar, so we don't need extra healing done because we already heal for so much as it is. Really nice. We are running 2 spell damage, 1 magic recovery on this. We don't have a lot of weapon and spell damage unless we're buffed up, and then we go to about 2100 spell and weapon damage, which is just perfect for this build. Next up, we are using Pelinal's weapons and shields. We're running 2 shields divines with Tristat, and then on the weapons we're running a weakening enchant and we're running a magic absorb enchant. This gives magic damage and gives us magic return, and it helps with our melee damage as well because we can proc this quite often. Every 3.5 seconds we can proc this. So pretty much every heavy attack you're going to be able to, like every other heavy attack, you're going to proc this, and it's going to give you resource return on not only stamina but magicka as well. You're not going to be burning through magicka or stamina as much as magicka, but you can keep it at a high pool, so it's really good. So that's the gear, and moving on to the skills. So make sure you get all your class passes. This is really important for this build, especially this build. and how it works. So you're going to want to make sure you get all those class passes. Moving on to the weapon skills, sword and board, get all the passives. Armor, light armor. Top 3, medium armor, top 2, and the bottom 1. And then heavy armor, you're going to want all of them. Now, there is a reason why you have all these passives. You want to take all the passives to these particular sets the way they are, is because they do add to your overall character playing and how they work. World, Soul Magic, just the bottom 2, it doesn't matter. You don't need a lot of passives from here besides Mage's Guild. You do want to get, you can go for all of them, and this is going to help with your degeneration skill, costing cheaper, and giving you more resources on the front bar in Magicka. That's where you get that difference from. It's because you're getting an extra 2% when you're on the front bar. Undaunted, both the passives, and then of course you can take Min Spirit if you want to. This is a really good heal, I'm not gonna lie, and it also grants Major Ward and Major Resolve to an ally, so it really helps against, like with DPS, to heal them with this. This is a good skill to have if you want to have it for a floater skill. So Undaunted, we do have support and both of the support and assaults ultimates, so you will be using those. And then on the Khajiit, just make sure you get all the passives. Alchemical, medicinal use, and then provisioning, gourmand, and connoisseur. Those are the passives you want there. Now to the skills. So starting with the skill on the main bar, this can be switched out with that Min Spirits if you want, and that's Degeneration. This is going to increase your spell damage. Instead of using a pot, this gives you a way of keeping that spell damage consistent increase. Plus it gives you a heal, and then whenever you deal a light or heavy attack, you can also heal yourself for 130% of the damage done. But it's a 15% chance. So you got to do a lot of light attacks to get that to proc, but when it does, it's a good heal for you. Next up, we are using Deep Slash. You can use Heroic Slash if you want to, if you don't mind applying Minor Maim to one target and weakening on top of that. But I like Minor Maim because weakening can be applied to multiple targets, unlike Crusher, which can only be applied to one at a time. This can be applied to, weakening can be applied to all 3. I don't know why it works that way, but it does. So you can apply weakening to all 3, and you can keep Minor Maim on them for 12 seconds. So you gotta kind of spam this to keep it up good, but it still works. Next up, we have Blazing Spear. Now you can use the other one if you want, Aedric Spear. It doesn't do as much damage every second, but it does give you the option to give Magicka stamina back in resources. So it's a good trade-off. This just does more damage, and that's why I like it. Next ability is Ritual of Retribution. The other morph of this does more healing, or does not more healing, but it does more cleansing of stuff. This does damage and healing, and that's why I like to take it. Plus it gives you 2 cleanses on yourself, and it allows your people to synergize and heal from it. So really nice ability. Next ability is Inner Light. This gives you major proficiency, or prophecy, sorry. Increasing your spell critical, but it also gives you 5% max magicka, and then with the passive from the Mage's Guild, you get another 2% for having it, but since we have this here, we get 4%. So it's a really nice extra boost to our magicka. Next ability we have on our bar is Reviving Barrier. This is a small shield for this build because of your max magicka's low, but your spell damage actually goes up. So we'll do the spell damage buff real quick, and I'll show you it now. So Reviving Barrier goes up to 31,000 with a 22,000 point heal over 30 seconds. It's a good damage shield for you, and it can last quite a while, 30 seconds. So it's a good group support. If you don't want to use this, you can use Dawn's Wraith, Solar Disturbance for a dot and for Major Maim. This helps reduce the damage your group takes. This is really good in dungeons, and so is Rite of Passage. It's a really good heal, and you're immune to all disabling effects while you're doing it. So you can't be knocked down, you can't be stopped from casting it, which is really good. But you will take damage while you're casting it. Not as much because you're wearing heavy armor. So those are 2 options you can swap out with Reviving Barrier. Moving to the back bar. On the back bar, we have Purifying Light. This is a great ability because it allows you to stack damage with your allies. So any damage that's being done, it'll copy up to 17,376, and this ability can crit. So this is really good. On top of that, it gives a small heal afterwards, every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. So it gives 3 heals at 2,264, which if they crit heal, you can go up to a little bit higher. Next ability is Breath of Life. This is like a superior heal, guys. I mean, come on. It heals an ally in front of you for 8,000 and heals another ally for 2,000. I mean, it's a great heal. It's not perfect, but it's better than anything, and it's less expensive than using Healing Ritual. Even though Healing Ritual heals all nearby allies around you, there's not a lot of these, either one of these, that are gonna really do. This is good, yeah, because it heals a single ally outside ability's radius for an extra 4,000. So like this is good if you want to use it, but that's a lot of magic that you'd be burning through compared to this. So I like this one a lot better. The next ability we have on our bar is going to be another tick heal, and that is Echoing Vigor. Echoing Vigor is not going to heal for a lot, but if you have your buffs up, again, increasing your weapon and spell damage, you can increase Echoing Vigor to about a 7,000 point heal for you and your allies around you. It's really good, and it can you can keep it procced or keep it going quite often, so it's really nice. On top of that, you also get this Channeled Focus, which is going to give you Major Ward, Major Resolve, plus it's going to give you 240 Magicka every second, plus it's going to boost your physical resistance as long as you're in the circle by another 50%. So when you do this, you go up to a 29k spell resist with a 26k physical resist, making you really tanky as a healer, and making a lot of your stuff, like your damage shields that you from barrier applied to you, way stronger. So it's really, really powerful. And then if you're using Mend Spirit and you give one of your allies in your group that extra resistances for the duration of 10 seconds on this, or the duration of this or whatever, says while you heal an ally, you grant them Major Ward, Major Resolve, increasing physical and spell. So while you're healing them with this, you can keep that up, and then you can pop barrier, and it'll give them greater resistances. And if you have this up, it's going to give you greater resistances on the shield. Plus, you're going to get that 240. It's crazy. It's ridiculous how well this thing can work. I have tested this in dungeons, and it works out really well. In a lot of the classic dungeons, it's really good. In the newer dungeons, it can be a little difficult to play if you're not familiar with this build. So if you're not familiar with this build, I highly suggest you not use it in the DLC dungeons unless it's on normal mode. And on the veteran mode of the DLC dungeons, make sure you're an experienced player with this build. Then it'll become easier to play. So now, on to the champion points. Starting with the red tree, we have 66 in Ironclad. Reduces damage from direct damage attacks by 22%. People are going to ask, why not 81? You don't really need that much. Like 2% isn't going to make a huge difference with the amount of other things you have going on. With all the healing, the higher resistances you already have, you already mitigate a ton of damage. So, moving on, Hardy Elemental Defender, both at 12% with 56 points. This just reduces pretty much all damage, like all of it. And then we have 31 into Thick Skin. This reduces damage over time effects by 13%. Really helps keep us mitigated from a lot of damage with the high resistances, high damage reduction. So, moving on, we have 19 into Quick Recovery, increasing our healing received by 5%. This helps us stay alive really well in heavy armor with the low health pool. And then we have 40 into Bastion, increasing our damage shields by 16%. That's why we use Barrier, is getting that extra damage shield. Now moving on to the green tree, 56 into Warlord, reducing our break free cost by 20%. We do have 19 into Sprinter, reducing our sprint cost by 12%, and 19 into Bashing Focus, reducing our bash cost by 12%. Moving on, we have 43 in Arcanist, giving us a magic recovery of 10%, and I put 76 into Tenacity. You can change this around if you want. You can put 76 in Arcanist and 43 into here. It doesn't matter. The reason I did this is to get more back on my heavy attacks with stamina, because I do burn through stamina when I'm popping Vigor a lot, and I'm using Heroic Deep Slash a lot. So this allows me to keep those pools fuller easier with heavy attacks. So usually I'll do a heroic / heavy attack so I can get those resource return back on it. 23 into Shadow Ward, reducing our block cost by 10%. 23 into Dodge Roll, 10%. And then 11 into Befoul. Now, you're going to ask, why 11 into Befoul? That's if you're playing in PvE or PvP. There are some dungeons where Befoul is going to come into handy against the heals the enemies have, or against certain bosses that do have really high healing received, like Direfrost Keep. This is going to help you kill her faster by using Reverberating Bash, and that's a skill you can use. You can swap it out with Degeneration or Heroic / or Deep / whatever you want. Really, you can swap it out. So, moving on, we have 56 in a Bless. This increases our healing done by 12% with the helm we have, and the 8% we get from our circle, our channel focus, and our Rune of Retribution. We get 8% healing done, or yeah, healing done. That makes it 20. And then with another 2%, we get 22% healing done. So we have a lot of healing done because of our monster set and the way our character's set up. We have 56 in Elfborn, increasing our critical heals by 20%. We have 43 in Elemental Expert, increasing our magic damage done by 10%. This helps not just with our heals, but it helps with the damage of our abilities that we do, Ritual Retribution and Spear Shards. We want that damage there. It helps the group so much sometimes. We have 8 in Dispel Erosion, increasing our spell penetration by 8. And then nothing in the middle tree. Over here we have 43 in the Mighty. This increases our physical damage by 10%. It helps, not a lot, but like if you're just roaming the world or whatever, it helps a lot. In dungeons, not so much, because you're not trying to produce damage. You're using your attacks to get that proc of that magic return. So, and then we have 56 in the Precise Strikes, increasing the critical heal of Vigor. So when Vigor does proc a heal, like crit heal, it's going to heal for quite a bit. And then we have 8 into Physical Penetration. So this is just an overall, like, heavy survivable healer. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go ahead and do this. I did this on a test earlier today, or on the video earlier today, but I want to just show you guys, like, the survivability of this thing. This thing is ridiculously overpowered when it comes to survivability. And that's what makes it a good healer in dungeons, is it has such high survivability that you mitigates just a ton of damage. There are certain encounters in the DLC dungeons where it's going to be kind of rough, but at the same time, the amount of healing you do and the amount of return you have and the amount of everything is just through the roof. So I gotta make sure I'm on the right bar here. Oops, my food wore off. Now you can use tripods with this, but I just prefer using the Magicka buff pots, because if I don't have my degeneration up and I'm using Min Spirit, I can heal, but I can also, you know, I lose out on spell damage, which kind of sucks because that lowers my heals as well. So now I'll just show you guys how this works in here. This is Veteran. And as you can see, I'm already taking damage, so I need to get all my buffs and everything going. And it's just a matter of keeping things going now. And as long as I keep, like, Vigor going and all that, I can keep pretty much my group alive. And that just proves that I'm not familiar with this build too much. But I have tested this, like I said, in dungeons. And dungeons are a lot different than trials. This is the hardest difficulty. The mobs in trials do have a lot more health than they do in dungeons. So, but yeah, you can stay alive pretty well if you know what you're doing, and you can keep this going. Vigor and Breath of Life, that's the only 2 spells you really need to keep going besides Ritual of Retribution. If you have those 3 going, most of the time you can keep your heals up non-stop. So as long as you're heavy attacking and stuff, you're good. And if you need a little extra, you've got your barrier. And if you need a little bit more than that, you know, like when you're in a dungeon, you need more damage output or whatever, you can use Warhorn, which is good. So barrier is just there for that, like, oh crap, I need extra. So I know that I didn't really show how effective it was with that in that, because I got mutilated, but it does work. It works really well if you're effective with it, like I said. And it's got insane shields. Like, when your shields are 8k over your health, that's good. So, but yeah, that is the Cleric. It's just a really fun build. And if you like it, play it. Otherwise, play something else, because it's really up to you. I just like this kind of build. I like playing stuff out of the box sometimes. So, but if you like the build, hit the like button. If you guys want to see more builds by me, hit the subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.